Yo, what up guys, Refraction here, and in this video I want to take a look at some information that came out about 5 days ago regarding new champions that were launched into the game, legendary champions, new one that was added to the game, and I've not had time to review their skills and abilities and actually check them out, their design and all that good stuff. So I wanted to dedicate this one to those champions. Watch out all the way to the end though. I have some new information that I wanted to share with you guys. So let's just jump right into it. The first one that we all know that was added to the game is Walking Tomb Drench. Now I've spoken extensively about this champion even before it came out, about his resist and all that stuff. So I'm not going to be talking about him because I have dedicated video just for him. So the next one that I wanted to actually visit is Ragash. Ragash is a champion, Skinwalker's champion. I'll quickly head over to the Skinwalkers so we see their character design also. And the first champion right there, Ragash, and here he is. His character design does look like a Skinwalker, so he fits the bill when it comes of Skinwalkers. And if you can see right here, he's half tiger, almost look like a werewolf kind of, but he's type of new. I've not seen this type of design. He's not a copy of another champion in raid. That's what I'm trying to say. So you might say, what of Brakos the Shifter, because he's the one with this type of blades in his hands. So outright I'll say his design looks awesome, but his skill is what I'm interested in, to know if this champion is good, mid, or just plain bad. So that's how I'm going to be rating them: good, mid, or plain bad. So the first A1 right now, on the A1, he attacks one enemy 2 times and places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns. Increased defense on himself and when he attacks, so I guess he'll be based on defense. Yes, he's based on defense. So on his A2, he attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing decreased defense. AoE decreased defense in raid is awesome. We already have epics, rare champions who can do it, but whenever we see a legendary champion that can do it, it's always gonna have to come with something special. You can't just put just decreased defense there. Something has to come on it. But his own says he places that decreased defense before he attacks, so that's the condition right there. So he places it that for his damage that he's doing to them, the decreased defense already has taken effect, and his damage is going to be increased by that decreased defense being there on them. Also, he has a 75% chance of placing stun debuff for 1 turn after attacking. So if they are still alive after that decreased defense and then they attack, he still has a chance to stun them. These chances can be booked to 100%. So right now you're telling me that this champion is an AoE stun champion. AoE stun on the A2 is an awesome ability to have. I'm already thinking about Seal the Drake, because she is not a 100% chance to stun, right? Astrolon, that's a 100% chance to stun. So he fits the bill. He comes here with not just a stun, AoE stun and damage, but also with decreased defense if they are still alive. So this is an awesome champion to have. If you have this champion in your team, you might not need to put other decreased defense champion in there. Do AoE. Usually we want those ones who can also do decreased attack though. That's a little bit different. All right, let's see if the A3 can make him a little bit better. Places a 25% strengthening buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Strengthen and increased speed, I'm already thinking of Osoga the War Caller. She's the one who does this that I know. I don't think she adds increased speed though. No, she doesn't. It's Lydia that has that increased speed with her own buffs. All right, also places perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns. Why is he placing perfect veil on himself and increased defense on himself? Is he doing anything with the passive? Let's find out. At the start of each turn, places perfect veil buff on for 1 turn on the ally with the highest attack. So your nukers will be covered with perfect veil at the start of each turn. Inflicts 20% more damage against targets whose defense is lower than this champion's defense. That means if you have a high defense on him, he will do extra 20% damage to those enemies. That's crazy. So already I can tell this champion will be a defensive based nuker. It's not one of those ones where you just build him anyhow. No, you need crit rate on this champion, you need crit damage on this champion, you need high defense on this champion. Those are the 2 things, the 3 things you're looking for. And then you might say, okay, then decrease defense and the stun. Accuracy will also be very useful to land these 2 debuffs right there. On the aura though, increase defense in all battles by 30. It's always awesome when you see an aura that can apply to all battles. It's not just restricted to one particular part of the game. So I'll tell you right now that this champion will go in my good books. It's not a mid-level champion. This champion is awesome based on the fact that he has AoE stun, decrease defense that lands before he actually hits, and then this one is just not that perfect, I guess, but I'll go with the A2. The A2 is and the passive is what really seals the deal for me. All right, that's Ragash, the new champion. If you do pull this champion now, at least you know whether it's good or bad. The next champion that was released recently, a legendary champion also, is from the Dark Elves faction. If I head over to the Dark Elves, let's see, the name is Truat, right? Dark Elves faction right there. If I scroll over to Truat, where is he? Right there. A HP based champion. Is that what I'm seeing right there? First of all, the design looks okay. It's not that special. It doesn't look like a legendary, I'll tell you right now. It looks like an epic champion. But anyways, that's a Dark Elf. And on the A1, any skins yet? No skins. On the A1, this champion, what does it do? Based on HP, attacks one enemy, heals this champion by 5% of their max HP. So already it's telling me that this champion will be built with high HP. Heals this champion by 10% of their max HP. Instead, if they have 50% HP or less. A1 that heals herself, nobody else heals this champion by 5% of their max HP. Heals 50% instead. So that's a very high A1 right there that just heals only this champion. On the A2, attacks all enemy, places a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Perfect veil on all allies. Places a counter attack buff on and a strengthening buff on this champion. I thought the counter attack would be on our allies. I wanted to get excited right there. Counter attack on herself or himself, and then perfect veil on everybody else. I guess it's also a good one. And strengthen. So this champion is going to be a tank. I'm thinking of Vogot type of tank that heals from that A1. With counter attack on that A1, this champion will always be in full HP. Remember what the A1 does again. 5% heals or 10% of their max HP instead if they have 50% or less. So 5% heals or 10% heals when you are always counter attacking is crazy. You always have your HP at full, especially when you have strengthening on you and you're not even taking too much damage. So that's a healer for herself, and then a perfect veil for the team. I'm still not convinced that this champion is something you need for your teams though. I'm still not convinced yet. Although when you have everybody in perfect veil, right, and then you're the only one who is exposed, it means you are the only one who you get targeted. But most champions in raid have AoE damage. So whether you're putting your allies in perfect veil or not, they will still get nuked. Yes, best believe it. Let's find out if the A3 can make this better. Right now, this champion is looking like a mid-level champion. It's not on my good list yet. Heals a target by 20% of this champion's max HP. All right. A single targeted heal, though. Then balances the HP of all allies. Yes. Now you've convinced me that this champion is a massive healer that is not just selfish for just herself, keeping herself alive or himself, but also keeping our allies alive. 20% to one person, then balances to everybody else. So everybody will be at max HP when this happens. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. Exactly. So after balancing HP, also places ally protection on the initial target for 2 turns. That's a total heal right there. A lot of books goes in there to even make it be more crazy heals, and it's a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not broken. It's not like a 3-turn cooldown heal, but this one will be a 4-turn cooldown also. That counter attack lasts for 2 turns though, and the 4-turn cooldown when booked. I guess they don't want it to be broken. If you make it a 3-turn cooldown, it will go crazy right there. Okay, on the passive, decreases the cooldown of Aminus infusion skill by 1 turn for every 10% of this 10% of HP this champion loses. So decreases the cooldown of what's the Aminus? This one. Okay, you decrease the cooldown by 1 for 10% of HP this champion loses. So this skill that does the heal, I wonder if this skill can be used to heal herself. If you don't want to heal him with the A1, I wonder if this can be used to target and heal. It doesn't say anything like it cannot be used on him though. So he can use 20% on himself and heal himself after taking too much damage from all those counter attack hits, and then it might work. I will test it out when we finally get this champion. But it's crazy that this skill can be, the cooldown can be reduced to even maybe 2 turns. If you hit him, 20% of his max HP is lost. In this skill can be reduced to 2 turns. So this champion is, it's an awesome healer. I'm not gonna say it's still on the mid level. Right now I'm seeing that it's an awesome healer. It doesn't have a lot of passive heals, or like a lot of champions who do have passive heals. You don't have to actually do the heal by yourself, like Vogot and others. We like all those heals, but when we see active heals like this, it also works on the A1 and the A3. It works. All right. I wonder how many more champions we have to do. Let me let me not make this one too long. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of champions we have to review. Well, I might not be able to finish all of them, but I'll just cover the new ones that I'm actually interested in. The next one is Shemnat, Night Revenant faction. Shemnat, Night Rev, where are you? Night Rev faction right there. It has been added already because the patch is released. That's a new champion for the Night Rev, looking like Statue of Liberty. That's what it looks like. All right. On the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing decreased defense. Normal A1, nothing special about that. And this is a long read. Transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, then attacks that enemy 3 times. The first hit increases the duration of all debuffs, damn, by 1 turn. The second hit increases the duration of all buffs. No, decreases the duration of all buffs on the target. Then also increases the duration of all buffs on this champion by 1 turn. This is a very selfish ability, but I guess it works. I thought it was going to do the increase of all buff on all allies. All right. Transfers, increase duration of debuffs, decrease. That's a weird one. But hey, we've seen champions who can do something similar like this, but it's usually on a one-way basis. You can't really do both at the same time. Attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit removes all buffs. Then the second hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense against targets that have no active buffs. When you remove all buffs, of course you're going to ignore 20% of the target's defense because they will have no buffs left. This will require accuracy though to happen, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. This is a huge nuke. Imagine 20% of ignore defense with savage sets. Yes, that is what it is reminding me of. Of course, that will depend on the multipliers of this champion's hit. On the passive though, increase this champion's accuracy by 10 for each buff on each enemy. That means for them having buffs, you will have more accuracy to actually strip them or even decrease their duration and all that. Increase this champion's crit damage by 5% for each debuff on each enemy. Stacks up to 100%. So against bosses that have a lot of debuffs that you place on them, this will be an awesome passive. Increased duration of crit damage by 5% for each debuff. So you can have up to 100% debuff. If you do the math, the boss can only have 10 debuff, right? So 5 times 10. That's it. And the next one that I wanted to take a look at is the newest champion. No aura here, right? Yeah, no aura. This champion's skills is based on attack. So this would be a nuker, and I will rank this champion on mid until we actually see the damage numbers. That's when we'll know. This ignore defense is good. Savage will be awesome on this champion, but we don't know how the multipliers will look yet. I didn't check all that yet. The next one is Kira the Watcher, a dwarf. Oh, we have a new dwarf. That's awesome. The last one was Brogni, I think, that was added to this dwarf faction. I think so. Or Boraga. No, the last one was Boraga. No, Nari the Lucky was the last dwarf. I remember now. The newest to be added is Kira. Kira the Watcher. It looks like, what's her name? Filja. It just reminded me of Filja based on the same design of these things they have on themselves. Almost look like future, see? Almost. But they are all short. On the A1, this champion has a 50% chance of placing 50% decrease attack. 50% chance of placing decrease attack. Why? Make it 100%. But it can be booked up to 70% chance of placing that decrease attack on the A1. Attacks all enemies has a 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. Also has a 75% chance of placing 50% decrease accuracy. All this can be booked to 100%. Decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. It's not that exciting, especially when we just saw a champion who can do more than just decrease the duration of those enemy buffs. So that's why I'm not that impressed by this one. It's on a 3-turn cooldown though. On the A3, places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion as usual. Then increase defense buff on all allies for 2 turns as usual also. This is not a unique ability. It's known that many champions in raid do have ally protection with increased defense, and I'm thinking of what's his name now, Tyrant Elixir, right? I think that's what he has. All right, on the passive, whenever an ally is attacked while under ally protection buff, places a decreased attack buff debuff on the attacker. Still doesn't make it special, but this means that this decreased attack will always be out there on the enemy as long as you can time this ally protection. It's on a 3-turn cooldown ally protection. That means you can time it to always be out there when you get hit. So this seems like a champion who just does ally protection and decreased attack, and the place where you need those 2 skills or 2 stuff the most is the clan boss. That's what I can think of. There are some few other places like the Hydra where having that decreased attack is useful, but hey, you don't want them to steal your ally protection except you can mitigate against that and protect your boss from being stolen. So I'll rate this champion at a mid level. So it's not a top range, it's mid, it's not that low also, because we always want tanks. Based on defense, I hope, yes, based on defense, so this champion will be built tanky enough to survive these ally protection hits that are coming in. All right, that's Kira. Welcome to the squad. I'm not that impressed by you yet though. The next one, or I think is the last one I'll be able to take, maybe on another day we can cover the rest, or when we finally pull them. Heprack, that's the next one. That's from Demon Spawn faction. Do they even need more legendaries? They already have a lot of legendaries. Heprack, okay, that's the name. Heprack. That sounds like an F. Design wise, come on, let's see what you look like. Boom, always looking like from there from the pits of hell. But his horns are on flaming fire though, with a rod that you can see the tip. Can I see it? Yeah, that's the top. I guess so. Yes, that's the top. I thought there would be something designed at the top, but nothing like fire or something. Now he's just it's at the bottom right here. He turned it upside down, so his rod is upside down. It's supposed to be the other way around. He's on barefooted. All right, A1 right there. He attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if this attack is critical. That means he will attack twice, but that doesn't mean he will attack again and again and again and again. No, only the first one counts as the extra hit that has a chance to proc the crit. All right, the A2 places an extra hit. This is an AoE skill though, on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. Each hit will ignore 15% of the target's defense. So this champion is built as a nuker already, I can tell, because if you have this ignore defense 15% on the first hit and the second hit plus savage set, you will ignore even more defense. So total of defense might be ignored is the one that you get from savage set plus his own 30% ignore defense, 15 per hit though. So that's a lot of damage that is coming into them. His A3 places increased attack buff and increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. Now this is what I like to see. You want to open with this skill. You don't want to open with the A2. You want him to do this first before he goes in with the A2. This A2 is on a 3-turn cooldown, and this one is also on a, no, this is on a 4-turn cooldown. So I guess you'll find a way around it to make sure this one is always available before you use this one. It will, I think. On the passive though, whenever an ally is killed, instantly activates. Which one? Instantly activates. Where is it? Heprack's con. That's the A1. Oh. Is it? No, it's the A2. He instantly activates this one. Grant an extra hit on each. Damn. So if you kill somebody on my team, he instantly goes in here. Will not put the skill on cooldown. If there are multiple champions on this team, this skill, only one will be activated. This is on a 3-turn cooldown though. It's not like it can happen each time. So once you kill anybody on my ally team, guess what? It's my turn to go and nuke you. And that's the AoE skill that hits hard with that ignore defense 15% per hit. So he might be built squishy, just like a normal nuker is just always built squishy to do damage, and then if he goes down, he comes. No, if somebody else goes down, he comes in. So he's not gonna die and then go in with the hit. Somebody else has to go down before he goes in with his hit. So we'll wait to test this champion out, but remember you have to put in this A3 before you go in with the A2. All right, I just have 2 more champions to go that were released recently, and the next one is from the Dwarfs faction with the name Godfred Brassclad. Dwarfs faction right here, Godfred, and it's a dude, I think. Yes, it is. Ooh, shiny weapons. I thought it's only the high elves that like gold, and well, this is an awesome design for a dwarf though, I'll tell you. That's some awesome looking dwarf, all swagged up and stuff. What does it do though? On the A1, he attacks one enemy twice. That's a team these days. Everybody wants to hit one enemy twice. And the first hit has a 50% chance of placing a 60% increased defense, a standard for 2 turns. The second hit has a 50% chance of placing a provoke for 1 turn. That's a 50% chance of placing provoke. It's a 50-50. You can't book it any higher than that. So I guess it's also a good. It's not that bad. A one turn provoke is not that bad, especially if you're counter-attacking certain enemies. Attacks all enemies has the 75% chance of placing stun, booked to 100%. This is the second champion we are seeing in this video that has an AoE stun, and I love AoE stuns. Because some content is so hard to get past, the only way to get past them is to control them. So that's why I love them. And this is also a defensive based champion, so he's ticking all the check boxes right now in my books. So I'm impressed already by him, Godfred. On the A3 though, this does stun, nothing else. It doesn't just say anything else, just stun. The other person's ability does stun and some other stuff. So let's see if the A3 makes it better. Places increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns, then removes any decreased defense and weaken debuffs on all allies. So it is a cleanse. It's a cleanse, but it cleanses only decreased defense and weaken. That's kind of sad. The A2 got me a little bit excited. Then I came down to the A3, and you can give this to him. Make it a full cleanse. It should be a full cleanse of all debuffs, or even maybe 1 or 2 debuffs. Even if you don't want to cleanse all, right? Make it 1 or 2 debuffs. Don't say only increase defense. I mean decrease defense and weaken. That's a weird one. I mean, not every battle has decrease defense and weaken. I know, because I went into the arena recently with my Candraphone, and I did not need to place decrease defense and weaken on the enemies to nuke them down. Maybe for PvE content you might need that. Alright, on the passive, let's see if this makes it any bit better. Whenever an ally is attacked while under block damage, who places block damage? Placed by this champion. Has a 75% chance of placing stun debuff on the attacker. Okay, now that this makes me a little bit happier. Passive effect that can stun when they attack anybody that is under block damage. On the active effect though, if an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, blocks incoming damage and places block damage. But guess what? This is a 4-turn cooldown, so it will happen once in 4 turns. I was about to get excited. I thought it will happen once every turn. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, just like most people with this skill in the game, which has the ability to, stop any incoming damage or save somebody from going down. It's not on a It's very low cooldown. It's always on a high cooldown, so you don't abuse it or it gets overused in battle. All right. This still doesn't make it better. Still doesn't make it better. He's a tank. He will keep somebody alive in the team once, just like many other champion in the game. I can always think of, is this Sandlash Survivor? That's the one my mind always goes to, because that's the one champion I used that benefited me in this type of. Even Sepulchre Sentinel can block the damage incoming to one person entirely, still on the cooldown though. All right, Godfred, welcome, but I'm not too excited about having you now when I finally get it. The stun was awesome, but then the rest of the skill is not that awesome. And Nekmo, so I'll rate him in the mid-level. He's not top tier for me, for my books at least. The other defensive based nuka was better in my eyes. Lizardman is the last one that I'm going to look at before Lizardman, called Nekmo Ta. Lizardman, where are you? It's a legendary 2. Nekmo Ta. Almost remind me of Vegomka in terms of the naming structure. And this looks like a chameleon with a bunch of weird designs around him. And on the A1, let's see, he has 3 abilities and 1 passive. On the A1 is an AoE A1, 40% chance of placing, 50% decrease attack. AoE decrease attack is awesome. The chances increase to 75% against targets under debuffs. So it's a very low chance of placing that decrease attack unless they already have debuffs out there on them. So he should not be the first going, basically. Your debuffers, like in decrease defense and weaken champion, should be the first going before he can come in with his decrease attack. A1 decrease attack. Anyways, it seems like he's going to be useful in a lot of battles. Like I'm trying to beat the Ice Golem right now at the highest levels, 24, 25, and it seems like I need an AoE decrease attack, since single and target decrease attack cannot target the boss when it has those 2 side adds. So it's always useful, especially for the Hydra. We are appreciating AoE decrease attack right now. He also has an AoE on the A2. This is telling me that this champion will be a perfect candidate for a stun set, maybe, if you're going through wave content also. Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing decreased speed. 30% decreased speed, that's the bigger version. And a leech debuff. AoE leech, AoE decreased speed. Hydra. This champion is screaming Hydra right now, because leech and decreased speed and decreased attack are 3 things you need for those Hydra. He's screaming Hydra right now to me. And on the A3, places increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns, fills their turn meter by 30%, then grants this champion an extra turn. This is an awesome champion. Already he's going top tier in my list, not just because of Hydra, just like a general support champion that slows down the enemy and boosts your speed. But turn meter fill and increased speed at 2 in 1 skill is awesome. It's on a 4-turn cooldown though, so I don't know if that's the best one in the industry. Passive fills this champion's turn meter by 5% each time a debuff on an enemy is removed, transferred, or expired. So he'll be getting turn meter boosts. That means this champion will not be a candidate at all for the clan boss, because that's not a place where you need turn meter boosts. Most people who build specialized things for the Hydra also don't need unnecessary turn meter boosting to happen. They want everything to go accordingly. So in early levels of Hydra, I'll be using him if I eventually get him, because he has everything I need: increased speed, decreased speed, turn meter boost, and then decrease attack. A lot of stuff. And then increase ally speed in all battles by 19%. It's a low one, but it works. So those are the newest champions that just added to raid. This information came out, I think it was on the 5.7 highlights, right? Yes, 5.7 highlights. That's when it was launched. I can't see the date, but I think it's just about a week ago. So I just wanted to take my time to get to know this champion. Hopefully this video helps you get to know them also, and when you get them, you know what to expect from their skills. You know whether they'll be useful for your teams or not. Right now, I'll tell you from the list, the ones I checked out. Walking Tomb Drench has a separate video. Ragash, Truat, Shemnat, and Kira, and Heprack, and the last one, Godfred, and Necmo. The best one out of all of them that I'm thinking of is this defensive based one. Where is he? Not the HP one. The Ragash is the best one that is calling out to me the most right now. That's the one I'll rate extremely high on this list right now. So the one that I absolutely want to have in my teams. So you guys let me know what you think about this one. And the information that I had for you at the end of the video was that a event that is currently going to launch tomorrow on the 12th is going to be a guaranteed a double legendary event. So if you pull one legendary from Ancient Shards, you have a chance, 100% chance of getting a second one. So pull one, get one free. That's what is going to be happening tomorrow. But since it's not going to be coinciding with any 2x or anything special like that, when a fusion is currently going on, I'll suggest you save your Ancient Shards for the Summon Rush if you're saving for that. I do have a lot of Ancient Shards, not this account, 100, almost 200 Ancient Shards on my main account. I'm not even pulling for next week Summon Rush, but hey, you guys should know that whenever an event comes like this, the weekend is going to be something awesome that has to do with something for Ancient. But if you are kind of close to PT, if you use RSL Hopper to track your progress, I am nowhere close to PT, so I will not be taking this bait. You can see that the last champion I pulled was this what's her name? I forgot her name, but I'm very, very far away from PT, so I do track my PT with RSL Helper. I always have it open when I do shard pulls. That's how it's able to track this information for me. All right, you guys let me know what you think about it, this one, and any of these legendaries or this champion that I just checked out or ranked poorly based on my misunderstanding of them. I'm always looking forward to your corrections in the comments below, and rate which ones you think is the best out of all these ones that I called out right now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Later, guys.